So I'm carving these Tudor roses for a restoration of what's a mock Tudor property, and these details go obviously on the front of the building and what's known as the gable end, or the barge boards they're known as. And it's quite rare to be asked to carve a Tudor rose. I haven't done one for years, but the beauty of them is, as elaborate as they look, they're great as an apprentice piece. And the reason why is because even though the whole length of the timber that I'm carving it from has got the grain running left and right as per usual up the length of the timber, the way the tree grew, but because of the 360 degrees of the detail in each petal interlinking with the internal petals, it's quite a good example as far as an apprentice piece is concerned, because the grain direction will change all the way around the circumference of the rose. Now the way I'm cutting this thorn, you'd call this detail, is obviously going across the direction of the grain, but as you rotate around it will change, so the direction of the way you cut it changes. Basically you've got to read the grain, because each petal changes as it goes around the whole circumference of the rose, and they're quite effective when they're done properly. And the aim is to get the cuts as deep as you can, really, because when the whole barge board is installed and fitted onto the property, you want to be able to see this detail from the garden or the pavement as you walk past. And it's going to be painted black, like all Tudor properties have. And the aim of the game is to get as much movement and depth and fluidity in each petal, running from the outer row of leaves or petals, then the internal one, then the final central one around the central button. Now this rose is finished, and as you can see I've sealed it up and I've put some veins in each petal to get the finished detail. Now they're quite an old design, obviously. It's the white rose of Lancaster and the red rose of York. It goes back about 500 years, up and down the length and breadth of Great Britain. If you go anywhere in the country, really, you'll see a Tudor rose on the street signs or the motorway signs. And it's an emblem that was adopted by the National Trust in English Heritage years ago, and it signifies the fact that there will be a historical building somewhere in the area. But the design is very clever. It's very basic in its layout, but combined, it's effective. And again, when it's carved correctly, it's a beautiful detail. The Tudor rose.